Well, is Ben Bernanke getting ready to lead the Fed toward the exit? Bloomberg's Scott Landman is here to explain what the Fed chairman may spell out when he testifies before Congress next week. Scott, good to see you again. And why is this a good time for Chairman Bernanke to talk exit strategy with unemployment still rising, nearing 10%?
Well, simply put, people are talking about it, and this is the monetary policy report. Twice a year, Fed chairman goes to Congress to explain what the Fed's doing on monetary policy, and this could be one of the most appropriate times to do so. Now, as you said, he might not be leading them to the exit right now, but he might want to be pointing out where it might be once they get to it. That's the kind of strategy that he might be outlining next week, Mark.
Well, why do they need an exit strategy?
Two words: inflation fears. There's a lot of concern in the market these days that with the government running record deficits and the Fed still running a pretty expansionary monetary policy, cutting rates to zero, buying up more than $1 trillion worth of mortgage bonds and other assets and treasuries, there's some concern that they're monetizing the deficit. And the Fed doesn't believe that they're doing that in any way, but they need to show that they have a way of getting out of this once it's the appropriate time. So that they can calm down some of these people who are showing those fears.
Well, sometimes in market parlance, they talk about whisper numbers. That's the whisper word, the I word. That's verboten inflation. What tools do they have? Why can't they just raise the federal funds rate like they usually do?
The federal funds rate by itself would not work in this environment because of all of the billions and billions of dollars of reserves that the Fed has pumped into the banking system and are still sloshing around. They have another tool that they got last fall called the interest rate on reserves, basically on deposits that banks have with the Fed. It didn't work so well in terms of putting a floor on the rate when they were cutting last fall. They think it'll work a little better on the way up, but that still remains to be seen. They can also sell the assets that they have, let them roll off, and there are a couple other tools that are a little more obscure that they might be able to use. The bottom line is people want Bernanke to explain what they're going to use and how they're going to use it, but maybe not exactly when yet.
And Scott, as you know, being in Washington and covering this very closely, a lot of people want the short-term fix, but the White House says it's looking for a long-term gain. How will Chairman Bernanke be received, given that some people are now impatient about what's been going on?
Chairman Bernanke he's going to do what he thinks is the best path for the Fed, and if that's going to be containing inflation in the long run, even while unemployment is still high, that's going to test the resolve of the Fed, and they want to maintain that credibility on inflation that's been hard won over the last 30 years, going back to Paul Volcker.
Bloomberg's Scott Landman joining us from Washington. Scott, thanks.